connection. See, building this team, connecting the dreams. Lock in on the vision, gotta believe. Be about his business and you'll receive. Yeah, we crowned by the king. Yeah, we crowned by the king. Yeah, we crowned. Had to get to work, had to stop all the chit chat. Too many talents, can't waste them. Yeah, that's big facts. Making kingdom moves, standing on business like mishap. Aiming for our goals, click clack. Moving forward, no need to reach back. Tell me where I need to preach at. Tell me where I need to speak at.
All right, man, let's get it, bro. I'm excited today. With me, as always, Mr. Joel and Gulu. My name is Joseph Honeyset. If this is your first time, hey, we're here for a long time. We're going to talk to some incredible people today. Thank you for joining the CROWNEDCAST podcast. We have, man, I think they're one of my favorite couples. To be honest, just incredible people, incredible servants. In fact, they're the third couple we've ever had on the CROWNEDCAST podcast. So, you know, you're not even in the top 5, you're in the top 3, which we're grateful for. But Jacob and Sarah are the founders and owners of Rareform Agency, which provides AI powered 24/7 digital receptionists. Basically, what they do, they are replacing people's jobs. So if you want to be mad at them, no, I'm just kidding. They're providing business owners with incredible solutions. And just taking advantage of that whole world of AI. They're located in San Antonio, but they service the USA as a whole. And lastly, this is, you know, an honor for us because outside of Rareform Agency, Sarah is also an incredible team member for us here at Crowned as our director of events, and just truly instrumental in what we do with Crowned. And I don't know where we would be without her. So without further ado, Jacob and Sarah Harper, how are you guys feeling today?
Good. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Man, blessed and highly favored.
Yeah, that show was good. I was about to do the little crowd noise.
We'll edit that in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely excited for today. What I'm curious about is because we know a little bit about Sarah. Today we're going to learn about Jacob. But I'm curious, and my first question really for you guys is how you initially met.
It depends on how long you want this to go. I think Sarah should tell her version of events.
Okay, so shortened version, we go to the same church, so we met at our church.
That's the very short version.
Yeah, dang, quick and to the point. Yeah. All right, Sarah, this is a podcast, so we're gonna go for the next hour.
Extremely well. Okay, so yeah, that's the extremely shortened version. So pretty much went to the same church. We were not a part of the same home group. I was part of the young adults ministry there, and Jacob had actually just exited, from my understanding, so we weren't even a part of the same group. The first time I went to the young adults group, I was at the home group leader's house, and immediately after, she pulls out Facebook and was like, "Hey, I think you should date this guy," and it's a picture of Jacob, and I'm like, "Hey, thank you. I don't think so." I just moved to the area and just switched churches, just kind of had a lot of major life changes, had moved that year as well, started my first kind of big girl job after college as well. And so I was like, I'm kind of just focusing on myself, like just trying to really focus on my relationship with the Lord and stuff like that. Like, I don't think we're a good fit, because she didn't really give him a good pitch either. And so it was about kind of like 9 months of me attending and just kind of like, no, she brought him up maybe again a couple months later, and I was like, I'll just pray about it. And so eventually life kind of settled down. I felt like I was ready, and Jacob kept trying to catch me, because again, not in the same home group. He kept trying to catch me after service, but I'd always be with like my brother, or I would leave before he could find me. And so finally he was like, "Oh, I don't want to do this, but like I just cannot catch her." So he found me on social media, slid in the DMs, went out, and we never stopped going out since then. So
my guy.
My question, okay, what was the initial pitch though? You said she didn't really pitch you on him. So what was the initial pitch? Was it just, "Hey, there's this guy, I think you should date him"?
I don't really want to go into a lot of the details, but pretty much it was like, this is what he wants. And I was like, "Oh, that's great. I don't think I'm a good fit. I don't think I fit those qualifications."
Oh, wow.
But then again, I'd have friends come to home group and they'd be like, this guy really likes you. Like he keeps trying to like be around you. He really likes you. So I was like, you know what? Let me get to know him, not just what was told to me by a person. And so, and then later on too, like I said, when the conversation came back up, I got to know them a little bit better, the third party. And so I was like, okay, I trust them. And
something we're missing from that entire story.
Yeah, Jenkins, let's get to your side of the story, okay?
Yeah. So first, I saw her hair right away, and I don't know why. I've always liked hair. It's weird.
My parents are hairdressers. So
yeah,
it's funny.
I had no idea. Like, literally, I'm one of the few people. It doesn't matter if it's a friend from church, an older lady, whatever. I can always tell when they get their hair done, and I always compliment on it. I guess that's what happens when I'm a middle child with two sisters. I just was told, pay attention. I saw her hair. I'm like, oh, that's beautiful hair. And I guess I was pining for her a while after that, and I didn't even know her, which was, looking back, probably not the best plan. Like, I probably should have not just been sitting there, like, saying, hope she looks my way one day. But she did. And it took 9 months after that for her to say she's ready to even go out on a date with me. And the reason I think that happened is we accidentally went to the same party she didn't know I'd be at. And we all went outside to eat by burgers around a fire pit. You know where I'm going with this. And there was a little puppy out there, and everyone trying to sit down. The puppy was jumping up trying to eat their food. And so I took it upon myself to try and pick the puppy up and bring it inside. So I reached over to Sarah, who was the closest one to me, who had never really talked to me before, and asked her to hold my burger on my plate. And she said, okay. And as she did, I just went, ugh, and it fell on her lap.
He was so nervous, he dropped it on me.
Oh, wow. I was about to say, was it on purpose? Was it?
No. But so that was really our first real interaction.
Yeah.
Was me dropping a burger on her.
And then from there, she was sold.
She was sold. She's like, wow, this guy really is nervous.
Man, I guess food works, man. My brother, he threw a banana at his wife. Yeah, man. That's a true story. Like it was like he chucked a banana or something, and it's a long story, but they're married now for over 10 years. And I'm like, I guess food works, man.
Food works. Food works.
I'm a little disappointed because you said you always compliment people about hair. And it's been a couple months since I've seen you. You haven't said anything about my hair. But it's okay. It's okay. Anyways, moving on.
Did you get a perm? I can't.
Yeah. Stop.
I would have some curls if I had a perm.
It's just so you're aware, you're on a 12-inch screen and then on a small monitor next to that. So it's
okay.
Pretty
any excuse will do. It's all right. We'll talk about it later. Yeah. So were you just in church, just trying to like position yourself in a way to where she could see you, make eye contact? And as men, we always like to we think about these things and have these game plans. All right, if I sit here, then she'll look over here. And or were you just in the corner, just like staring and like breathing?
No,
waiting.
No.
Okay.
So a couple things. One, at church, I was okay. So at the burger joint, after I had already spilled the burger on her, we then went inside to play board games, and she had stepped away for a second, and everyone was sitting down on this giant couch, and I kept taking up 2 seats because I'm that guy. Because I knew that there was just enough people to fill out all the seats when she got back. And so when she got back, the only place she could sit was next to me. So she knew that was going on. She's like, oh, this guy, I don't like that. And I learned a little bit later, she really doesn't like being in the spotlight. So I felt bad about that. But I had previously visited other churches just so I could see if there's any single girls, because I figured I've been at this church for 8 years now, and there's no single girls here. What am I going to expect God just to send a woman fall from the sky, land right in the courtyard, or knock on my front door? That's just not fair.
No, you're going to drop a burger in her lap.
Yeah. I got to find the girl and throw a burger at her. But so I visited a few churches, and I'm like, no, I miss my community. And so I went back to my church for quite a while and kind of just put a pause on the search. I was tired of waiting for a woman, but I also knew I couldn't live alone, so looking for a girl. And so I went back to church and found a position there as leader of the cafe, which is Like it's not a I don't know, prestigious title or anything, but that allowed me to be in the entrance and exit every time somebody came and went. So I positioned myself every day in the cafe as cleaning up, watching the door that she would exit through, hoping that I could run into her. But like she had stated, like I knew at this point she didn't like spotlights, and so I knew she wouldn't want me to ask for her number in front of people, whether it was her brother or a friend. I knew she wouldn't appreciate that. So it was truly a go big or go home type thing. And so I waited and waited and waited. And finally, I'm like, it's not good for me to keep waiting. I need to move on if she's not interested. So let me give one, not real Hail Mary, but I found her online and messaged her. And it was a roller coaster of emotions. But she said she was down for going on a walk and getting some coffee. And I didn't know. And then the first date, y'all, not good until until about 20 minutes in. Then it was great. I didn't realize she had a very busy work schedule and was just barely shoehorning me in.
She was ready to go.
Yeah, but after we connected, she's like, "Oh, I'm relaxed," and it was all comfortable and fun after that.
Sarah's like, I don't know.
Nah, she doesn't remember it that way.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was just a lot of like my home group leader would like try to like get me to really stay a while after service and stuff, and I'd be like, "What's going on?" I'm to find out it was Jacob, but it was always it was like the opportunity would be there, but my brother would be there, my friend would be there, and we'd leave and they'd be like, "Man, I think that guy's really into you." Like I think he really likes you.
It's always frustrating.
I'm happy you say it real in detail, Jacob, because a lot of times women don't understand that we're tactical, man. We like to position ourselves like, if I'm in this vicinity, she can see me, or I'm gonna wait for this and all that. And so I'm happy you shared it and shared the light, because a lot of times, man, we don't share that, but that's what we're doing.
Well, even still, after we were well into our dating relationship, she's like, "Why didn't you just like walk me to my car or something?" Like, are you kidding? You never even talked to me. You want me to chase you down and get pepper sprayed? Like, I'm like, I'm not doing that.
He also just didn't want to come off as creepy. And I'm like, you're right. Because if it was someone I wasn't really interested in, that would be very creepy. If it was, but like you were kind of friendly. There was kind of some interest.
I
would have been a little different.
How long did y'all date and then get engaged?
We were dating for just over 10 months. And then our engagement was really quick. It was from December 11th to March 4th. We got married March 4th.
2 months.
And I was actually out on the wedding venue putting a pickaxe to the stony ground so we could build out the venue. It was quite a 3-month season, but we made it happen, and it looked really nice.
And how long did it take for both of you to know that you were the one for each other?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Ooh. She asked me this pretty early on after I told her I loved her, and I said, I don't know, because I always wanted to be married. I always wanted a wife, and I was always afraid of just being bought into the idea versus the person. And I felt really early on that, I mean, she wasn't my first girlfriend or anything. She says she is, but she knows she wasn't. But I wanted to be sure that it wasn't just emotions and platitudes and all that. So I was pretty well convinced, I think about 3 or 4 months in, but I didn't say anything for a while because I wanted to be sure, because I knew it wasn't something I could take back, and I didn't want to put her in a potentially unhealthy position where she felt obligated or pressured. And I think she appreciated that.
Yeah, I think for me, I think this is something we had talked about while we were dating too, of like just setting expectations. Obviously, like this was, I believe, after we were exclusive, your boyfriend, girlfriend. It was kind of like check marks of like, hey, month 3, think that's a good indication of like whether we want to keep pursuing this. And then at the 6-month mark, like, you know, it's not, hey, let's get married, but it's, hey, we should have a good idea of like, are we going to be working toward marriage at this point? Or, you know, are we really not a good fit? And so just kind of realistically setting that expectation. And I think for, this might be goofy, but for me, I always had said like minimum 2 years being with the person, then you can talk about marriage. I think with like Jacob is just so different than anybody I've ever met, let alone dated. And so for me it was one, getting yourself correct, right? At the whenever I first met him or the idea of him, I didn't just jump at it. I like had that truth and that I guess that I kind of like knew at that point, like I'm not ready for this. Like I'm not going to go into something knowing that I'm not ready. And so just one, being ready, and then two, it was always like after I'd go home, I'd be like, Lord, like if this is your will, just like continuously praying about it, about for him and things like that for our relationship. And then I just remember it was always like he never gave me a reason not to love him or not to trust it or like, and it was just like all the little things, because I think we talked about that like at one point, did it feel like love or this or that? And I was like, honestly, I think it was little things that you just kept, just as we would date, you would just keep growing and adding to that. So I think it like, you know, kind of started at one point and grew until it was a point where it was like, hey, I'm sure of this. Obviously we weren't together for 2 years because there's that saying some people get annoyed with, when you know, right? Like, so well, it was a bit shorter, but
Sarah might be a little bit more formulated with her approach than I was, but I think the main reason behind it was she didn't want to see time wasted. She didn't want her, I guess it was called like, in some cultures, they call it their youth being stolen by somebody dating them that doesn't have any intention of moving forward. And so I can appreciate that, but I also realized that 2 years was too long. But yes, no, I'm really grateful that she made sure her foundation, like, she wanted to make sure that, I mean, she wanted me to help lead her in her relationship with Christ, but she didn't want me to be the cause. And that was before she even knew me. I thought that was very smart to build her foundation. Like she said, she just moved. She was trying to build a relationship with Christ. And instead of trying to dilute that and have the focus shifted off of him, building a relationship with him first, and then building a relationship with a man on that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. Can you talk about that, like from both of your individual perspectives of like what it means to have, you know, a husband lead you, you know, closer to Christ and vice versa? Because I think a lot of times, like, you know, we're Christians, we understand that, right? But maybe somebody that's watching may not understand that full concept of like leading your spouse closer to Christ. And really that's what creates the intimacy in a relationship.
Yeah. I think that term sometimes really scares people. I'm definitely all about girl power and feminism and all that, but I think
first
really
wave feminism, to clarify.
Okay. I was gonna have to push back.
But I think really when you really pursue the Lord and really read the Bible as the way it was like intended to be read, you really recognize that like the Lord is a girl dad. Like we had a Bible study, and that's just kind of, I guess, kind of pop culture terms, right? But it's like he really loves his children, including his daughters. And so I think that term can be scary. Like, what do you mean? And all this stuff. But I think when it comes to lead, I mean, part of that even goes back to iron sharpening iron. I had to think about that for a second. just kind of like, hey, if he's further along, that, you know, that's a direction that I feel confident I can follow. And so I think that's a good.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this: if we are to be, if Christ is to the church as men are to their brides, there's a lot of beauty in it, but at no point was it ever because the bride earned it. And that means that if we look at Christ, he had a lot of fun with his bride and caring for her and building relationship with her. But it always looked like he took the first bullet, he took the last bullet, he carried the cross, he put in more work. And I'm not saying that Sarah doesn't do the lifting at all, but how can I expect her to do anything if I'm not willing to do it for her first?
Yeah. There's an example too that I think puts it in great perspective of, you know, if we both needed a pair of pants because he's the leader, like, oh, what does that mean? He's going to take it? No, that means he's the one that sacrifices, and I would get the pair of pants. That's not for wearing.
It's
I meant like,
let's leave the bathroom talk out of this. All right,
I got you.
Sorry, but literally in what I heard, it was pants. But I did not mean wear.
Maybe a bit like
anything,
cloak.
a shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of sacrifice and
even,
all of that.
Even a little bit more modern day vehicles, right? Like I like my it's a 13-year-old truck now. And when we get a new vehicle, unless I absolutely need one, I want it to be Sarah's first, because I mean, I care more about her comfort and all that than me getting something shiny and new. I'm not saying that I'm entirely selfless. I want a new fancy truck, you know? But if I have it by myself, it's really an empty shell. I mean, not to give empty platitudes or anything, but when I was a single man and I bought my truck, when I drove away, I was so excited. I was pounding on the steering wheel and giddy. But it paled in comparison to the day I got married to Sarah and when she said yes to me. And if I could get another truck, I would not nearly be as giddy as if it was I've made her feel safe and comfortable, and we had more flexibility and freedom in our relationship and our time. Yeah.
Come on now, my dog. Share your heart, bro.
I'm a pretty open book.
I mean, man, people don't understand when we truly have what we wanted, what we seek for, what we work for, what we seek, like ask God about, like all those tears, they don't understand, right? But then when we have it, you're not so hard to like let your feelings go, right? It's easier.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
when you have the right one, it's easy to let those feelings go, man. So kudos.
I mean, I wanted my dream truck for 2 years. I've been wanting her for 28 years. I've been wanting her for a long time. I got her finally.
Man, that's beautiful.
I'm told to stop gushing. Sorry.
No, that's beautiful, man. I love it. Man, we need more men out there sharing those stories and sharing those moments too. So, but I do want to shift a little bit to some business talk a little bit with that, but tying in family. So, you shared it with me, but audience doesn't know you're a PK. If people don't know what that is, pastor's kid. And Sarah, you grew up in the church, right? But doing business is different from ministry, right? And being a pastor's kid, like your dad always probably wanted you to follow his footsteps, to be a pastor or to lead a ministry, but now you're in business, right? You talk about like that transition when y'all both started getting into business, why you had some flack you got from your family, from your parents, maybe, from getting into business. Can you talk about that transition?
So I might have a different relationship with becoming a business owner than most people do. A lot of people their parents want them to have a stable job or something like that, which I can push back against that all day, every day. But the idea is my dad was a serial entrepreneur. And I love him and I learned a lot from him. But one of the things I learned from him most was honestly trusting too much. He started over 8 different businesses and he's done a lot of really good stuff. He had a lot of serious offers come his way. And every time the problem was there wasn't a actual authority or auditing trail that allowed him to act on it. Either someone would steal money from him, or the offer got delayed too long, so the offer was rescinded, and the person offering it, or the organization offering it, would just build out their own solution. And so I've learned a lot from him. Basically, just doers. Just be a producer. Yes, there's a million things you can consume, and yes, you could consume a little bit more and make a little bit better of a product or whatever. But no, just and then on top of that, build in public. Let people know what you're building, because even if you build the best thing in the world, but it takes you 10 years and you haven't taken it out of the closet, you're not going to improve anyone's life. And the reason why sales exist is to enact change, to improve the life of the user. The reason why marketing exists, to let them know that things can be different. And the reason why your tool exists is to actually provide that solution. And so it's actually the third part that it doesn't even come into play until you have marketing and sales down, which is where I really struggle, is the marketing and sales. So when I got into starting a business, my parents were actually pretty excited for me. In fact, Rareform, the name of my company, was actually taken out of a prayer that we had with my parents when we were talking. Jacob said he was going to start a business. It was going to be about this. And my mom had said something during the prayer about us being in rare form, which for most people know what it means, but it means like uniquely good and in the best shape. And so I'm like, I really like that name. And so I took it, and that's where we named our business. And then when Sarah came in, it was actually a part-time for a little extra revenue and actually just helping me out mainly. And the more and more that she grew there, some opportunities fell away on the other side. So she came on full-time with Rareform. And it was great. We were grateful to have that transition. I was extremely grateful to have the marketing and sales side come into the business, because I knew no matter what I built, it wouldn't do any good unless I had somebody market and sell it. So,
did you guys have to grow into your working relationship? Was that kind of a struggle at first in understanding like the different roles and then taking the hats on and off?
Yeah. So Jacob had kind of touched on a little bit about my transition. So Jacob had actually started Rareform while we were dating. And I was actually I was case managing for a local foster care agency. So I was in social work. And I was actually supposed to accept a higher position for a startup nonprofit. And I was already given business cards with my picture and name on them. Had submitted a resume, all the things. Had already given my notice, like a month and a half notice of, my case management position, like, hey, I'm going to be leaving. Well, I then was given notice, hey, we can't launch, we can't start. So then that's when I started part-time with Rareform. I was contracting as well. And there were some talks about like, hey, should I, goals of me working for the business, but we thought, it'll be in a couple years. And again, at that point we had been married probably about a year. About a year at that point. And so it was kind of like, oh, that'll be a future thing. And Jacob actually had other partnerships that he was getting ready to align to help him with marketing and sales as well. That ended up also falling through. And so just through prayer and seeking counsel together with like leaders that we trust at our church, we just decided so that was February. So November that year, I transitioned full time. And so, yes, I have been in business roles before, not ever in a technical space though. So my experience with tech was just what I learned in school or what I had to use on the job. And so there definitely was a bit of a transition of, hey, we're talking as partners or coworkers, as opposed to you're my husband. It was a lot of let's kind of set boundaries with the time. Let's be able to, we had to actually previously to me transitioning, because I had kind of a emotionally taxing or tolling position. Those were kind of exercises that we had already implemented of like, hey, I need to be able to to kind of have I can't think of the word, have a moment to decompress. There we go. And so those were great skills that we had already kind of practiced. And so whenever I transitioned, we were kind of like, okay, we just need to do this in a different role, because we also work from home, right? And so it wasn't like, hey, we have this physical transition either. It was, we have these overlapping relationships and locations as well. So it was just really communicating on those things were probably the most important.
And very hypocritically, you have to have a dead, like, I'm done at this time every day. And I do mean hypocritically, because right now I'm building out a few other things and I have all these excuses, and they're excuses. But I'm also very excited about these things. And Sarah knows that I actually enjoy building. And a lot of people like play video games or whatever else. And of course, I miss fishing. I miss all this stuff. And she jokes because she's like, I don't remember you fishing once. I'm like, well, because I don't make time for it. I enjoy it. I just don't enjoy it enough to prioritize it. I'll do it with friends, but not on my own. Anyways, so right now we're building a lot, but it is hard to shut down, especially when you have big deadlines or customers that you want to make sure are happy. And it is very difficult especially because it's our company. And I started off with all the technical side and she's doing sales. There's sometimes you have to do correction, not to sound mad or evil or whatnot, but it's impossible for us to be on the same page without some sort of corrective measure. And I'll say that was kind of hard at the beginning to set that framing of, I'm not mad at you. I'm not upset as your husband. I'm not upset as your CEO. I'm telling you, this is what needs to change. How can we work on it together? And finding a way to make that language to where it wasn't blame or defensiveness. It took time, and it'll take time for everybody. It's not unique to us. That's probably why everyone says never start a business with a friend or never start business with family, because the second there is a break, unless you can handle that conflict well or that correction well, it turns into a schism. And that's something we can't have. I would rather let go of Rareform to keep Sarah. And I think that's something that a lot of people that own businesses, because my business is my baby, right? But she's my bride and she comes first. And a lot of marriages, especially working marriages, forget that.
Yeah, I think that was something that was kind of another parameter that we had set in place as well. Like, we need communication is key in this, right? But if it ever becomes an issue, like, we have no problem transitioning out or like whatever we needed to do. Because like I said, I mean, that was something we had already established in general anyways, right? Like, we have that order of, God, marriage. And so, yeah, that was definitely helpful as well.
That answer your question?
Yes, yeah.
No, that's good. I think like what y'all are pretty much summarizing is putting Christ at the center. And that's for every relationship. Like me and Joseph, people always ask me like, how are you and Joseph connected? I'm like, man, we grew up together, but our families grew up together too, but Christ has been in the center. And so now whenever this correction, Joseph will give me a lot because I'm late sometimes and vice versa, right? But I take it as love because he's not looking down on me. He just wants to build me. He's calling me up. And I think in even like relationships and husband and wives, when people say don't start a business with your family, but when you look at the top, the richest people in the world, they're all families. Like, I don't get why that's the reason. I think we're supposed to being connected like that. I think the problem is people forget that Christ is first, and Christ cares more about your marriage, which is the first ministry, rather than what you're doing for him. It's all filthy rags anyways. And people forget that. And I think even entrepreneurs, like we say, oh, Christ is in the center, but in a practical way, would you give up your whole business for your wife or for your husband? And that's what it looks like right there. And so you said it best right there, man. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, it really is beautiful. And a lot of times, just to what everybody's talking about with just like having those hard conversations with people, like, it doesn't even have to be family that you're doing business with. Just as an employee, like I'm listening to you speak, Jakin, and I'm like, man, this guy, it's unfortunate he's in the AI business, because he would be a great leader in being able to have conflict resolution with a big team, because being able to deliver on just corrective nature, a lot of times, it's human nature to get defensive. But you're not only speaking to, your technically employee or employer contractor, but this is also your wife. This is your queen. And so, us as, men, we got to always understand that these are our flowers. Our women are gentle, right? So there's a different way that you speak. And so you should hire some employees, man, because I think you're able to effectively lead. And I think that's beautiful. Like, in even corrective nature, people get defensive, but correction is really coming from a place of love. It's all about the deliverables and how you do it, right? I don't know if you guys have immigrant grandparents or parents, but my grandmother was Italian, like straight off the boat. And I remember my dad would, if he gained some weight, she would definitely let him know, like, Bob, you're fat. But if you really think about it, she didn't deliver it in a nice way, but it's coming from a place of love. Like, you should probably do something about the weight that you're gaining, right? Like, I love you so much, I'm willing to maybe upset you because I want you to get back on track, right?
Yeah.
But I just think that's beautiful enough. I wish I could be in those conversations to see just how you handled that, because that's impressive.
Well, thank you. I'm not going to lie, though. Sometimes it's not beautiful. Sometimes the result
work in
is
progress,
beautiful. Yeah. And sometimes it takes a long time for us to actually come to the same page. And I'm not saying I want to be Christ-like, but the fact is I don't always do exactly what sometimes I go into conversations with her or come out of conversations with her saying, I don't know what was right. I don't know what I should have done. All I know is I had to do something. And she does the same with me. I need to be corrected too sometimes, or even just reminded. And I guess coming at each other when we're both trying to correct each other at the same time is one of the hardest parts, because we don't have any ground that we agree on. And that's where when you step back and say, what do we agree on?
Yeah.
And thankfully I did have really good training. My dad was a project management professional. I worked at Rackspace and Booz Allen Hamilton before I started. And the Booz Allen Hamilton role, I was on a $400 million contract, and then an even larger contract after that, where I was on a team of 8 people responsible for over 30 contracting firms. And I was brought in initially to forensically deduce who caused what problems in our system. And it was tough because we couldn't really do anything, couldn't even slap them on the wrist. All we could do is point to the authority and say, this person did it. That's all we could do. And then the firms themselves would slap the person who did whatever they did on the wrist, or even the firm if they had a bad policy, because they wanted to maintain the contract. And so I've had some practice in leadership roles and project management roles. It's basically assistant project management and systems engineer. And I enjoyed it. But really, the problem is most business owners don't have $400 million contracts that they can manage. And so that's why we started Rareform, so that we could help them free up their time and provide better solutions to their clients.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. You
I was about to say
for yourself. So tell everybody what Rareform is, how long it's been in business, and just who exactly you support and how you support them.
Okay. Well, we've been in business for 3.5 years. Originally, we started out with our main product being a customized CRM. If y'all are familiar with Go High Level, basically we white labeled Go High Level, and then we built it out per client. The problem is it's really hard to sell. It's very hard to sell a CRM. You have to have the right client at the right time that finds the need and then decides among the millions or thousands of options out there that they need your CRM. And so we went through that quite a while. We had a little bit of success, but not a lot. And then I realized the reason I built out my business was to help business owners like my father, who started 8 businesses, who was by all means a workaholic, and he knows it. and he wishes he could find a better way, but he just didn't know how to do a good job at work and at home at the same time. And so I love my dad, and I've learned a lot from him, and he knows I'm grateful for everything he's taught me. He's a good dad too. But it was hard. Like, we went on like 1 or 2 vacations I can remember it growing up. And we went to the Kalahari Resort, or the Great Wolf Lodge, I forget what it's called, up in Wisconsin. And we were all in our swimsuits, and my dad had a swimsuit on and brought his laptop bag, sat down on the lounger, and put his laptop on his lap. And I'm like, are you serious? Our whole family was, are you serious? But he needed to in order to pay the bills. And it was because I was so sick of hearing him every day pick up the phone, sounds like 1,000 times a day, saying, just getting a status check, just getting a status check, just getting a status check. Because even though he was on the latest technology, there was not a single source of truth that held all of his contacts, all of his sales, all of his everything. And so he had to speak with the person that actually did the work to see what was going on inside of his business. That's why we built out our CRM, to basically automate business workflows. But then I realized, me being the owner of this automation solution, was I was on call 24/7. And so what I did is I realized that I could get 800 millisecond response times from voice AI. And so I built out my own AI receptionist that automatically put contacts in my CRM, gave me tasks to follow up on. It passed through calls to me if it was during a work day. I could even put myself in front of it, so it only answered if I didn't answer. All that. And then I realized very shortly that I was getting a lot of compliments on it, and that everyone else could use the same thing because they're all on call 24/7. And so I built out a solution with that specifically. And that actually led us down a couple rabbit trails. And right now we are on a very cool, I guess we call it warpath, to becoming the world's first compliance mechanism for voice AI. That would allow agencies who build AI solutions with a turnkey offering to not have to be on their heels, because agency owners, there's no way to see what's going on. The only way they know is after a client complains, and that's not a good position for any provider to be in. Right. And so what we do is we built we call it Voice Lens. It has a dashboard for the client with KPIs the business owner actually cares about, along with tasks and actions for them to follow up on, like responding to clients, rebooking people, whatever. And then the same information is visible from the agency view, but with all the technical information. So anyways, it's pretty cool. And then we also built out an automated widget tool, which allows you to use any CRM.
Oh, wow.
So earlier when you had asked, kind of, talking about the overlapping roles and working together and being married and all of that. So because we're in completely different roles, right? I'm not an engineer. I don't have an engineering background. Same thing for him. He doesn't have any sort of he's very smart when it comes to business, but when it comes to, applying like marketing and sales, not really any experience. And so there's a lot of opposite strengths and weaknesses, I guess. And so a lot of what he'll explain, he's like, I want to explain how it works. And It's really from an engineering perspective.
It's bad.
And so we tend to really complement each other, because I'm like, hey, I know that was English, but let me interpret that to you. And so that a lot of times with our day-to-day, we don't have to, we're in our own little corners, right? We don't really have to work together on a lot of things. However, when it comes to, hey, I'm going to really start marketing our chatbot, whatever, right? There does need to be some communication of what does that launch actually look like, right? Making sure our return and price and everything is accurate to what he's having to take on from the engineering side. And so, I think when it definitely comes from both, us being able to communicate from either ends, so that way there's that one unity of the process being essentially seamless.
Yeah, she takes all the nerdy language I use and makes it marketing language.
Yeah. So in other terms, it's essentially, hey, we both were on call. We decided that's not what we want for our lives, and I don't think it's something that is really doable in the long term either, right? Because it's not. They say, oh, it's flexible because you can flex your schedule, all that, and really, it's not. You're flexing your schedule always to the emergency.
Right.
And so, part of our goal was, hey, my parents owned businesses as well when I was a child, and so we were like, hey, technology is so advanced, like we're able to put efficient processes in place for ourselves, because that's what we want, and for the clients that we serve. And so essentially it's being able to offload services or streamline day to day so that they can free up their time, focus on making money and what's important to them, whether that's serving relationships, things like that.
Okay. No, I got it. So you're taking people's jobs.
So I'm going to actually tell a quick example with my little sister. I showed her my voice AI, and my receptionist, and her jaw dropped, and she was aghast. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, that's amazing. I'm like, thank you. What are you going to do about all the people's lives you're destroying? I said, what?
Jeez.
I said, what are you talking about? She's like, that's going to steal people's jobs. I'm like, have you heard about the sewing machine? She said, what? I said, the sewing machine, when it came out, riots hit the street. Everyone was afraid it was going to take all the seamstresses' jobs. There were tons of seamstresses. And they were afraid that they were going to lose business. But what ended up happening is you had factory workers to build these machines. You had floor managers, you had technicians, you had repairmen, you had all these other things. And now the cost of clothes became cheaper. You had better clothes for the average person. And only those who didn't adapt to the new market are the ones that were hurt. And the best of the best of the best seamstresses, they kept their jobs because they were head and shoulders above what could be done with the sewing machine. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're allowing the market to grow. But in the same note, the reason why we had to build VoiceLens is because there's no way for businesses to see the value that the AI is providing them at the moment. That's why we built out VoiceLens, was so that the agencies could be proactive and actually a trustworthy partnership, so they can say, this is what we built you and this is not working, or this could be improved, or this is working exactly as we needed. And the client can see exactly what they would expect from a human AI receptionist, right? From a human receptionist, being, this is the task you need to do. This solution didn't work. This client has a question. And none of that exists without VoiceLens. So that's why we built it. Because right now, AI is at this weird spot where everyone loves where it can go, but nobody trusts it in their business.
Right.
And it's not until we can say, hey, like even in the agency space, a lot of agencies that are my competitors are doing one of two things. They're either dropping prices because they realize they can't support it at all, and it's basically just a little form you get to fill out, and it's a glorified receptionist that just hands everything off to voicemail. Or the other way, they're building out this $60,000 platform, then they're handing it to you and wiping their hands of it and saying, good luck, because they realize they can't support it. They can't monitor performance. They can't guarantee results. And because both of those sides of the spectrum exist, everyone's getting burned in their experience with AI. And so people have tried it, they got burned, and they're backing off and waiting 5 years. The fact is, AI is ready now.
Yeah.
Just like with a human that you hire and that you train and hire, you need to monitor them ongoing. You need to have them say what they did yesterday. So you could say if there's something you need to change in your workflow. And you can't do that if you don't have visibility. If you paid a human to answer your phones and all you did was you never had to answer your phone again, and your business experienced any sort of hiccup, what are you going to do? You're going to blame that person that never got back to you.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think, for Joel and I, we're big proponents about AI. I mean, it lifts the ceiling up even higher, right? Like I'm actually curious about what are the barriers that you encounter when dealing with business owners, because, I was doing a little bit of research prior to the podcast, just from, like comparing the wages of what you guys offer and the wages of what a, you know, an assistant or a receptionist would cost. And I was looking at just various states, like here in Texas, you know, it's like as low as, you know, $21,000 a year, all the way up to, you know, $45,000 in some states, right? So financially, you know, I did the math, and you guys are, you know, have the potential to save companies literally, you know, $20,000+, right? And this is just based off of my math, so it's probably more you guys are saving them. But what are the barriers? Because just from a financial perspective, that makes sense. From a, you know, a manpower, you know, perspective, that makes sense. No one's ever going to call in sick, right? You don't have to pay benefits to somebody. So that right there, as a business owner, you're already benefiting from what you guys have to offer. So what is the main barrier? Just people don't know what they don't know, or maybe they're scared, or what do you guys experience?
Well, Sarah could probably speak to this better.
Yeah, I think so. January of last year, if I would mention anything about AI, especially because, I mean, we are in a smaller town, people would look at me like I had an illness, or they'd be like, I don't want to talk to you, right? It's a
She's a witch.
She's a leper or a witch. Yeah.
It's a newer thing that obviously brings discomfort or
Excitement sometimes.
Excitement to the right crowd. And so we really had to be strategic about how we presented it. We weren't trying to at all, we weren't trying to
take jobs,
be deceiving or anything. But instead of saying, oh, we offer this, like, let's say AI receptionist, we'd say, hey, we have this digital receptionist. So if a business wants to offload call management, so that way it would kind of open the door for conversation. We'd lead to then how it worked, right? It was AI powered and all that, but that way they at least, it was an opportunity for us to share,
got them to ask
what
why.
It actually did. Right. Yeah. Exactly. And so that, since then, I would say probably around August to October of last year, it started to really excite people. We had actually been asked last June to speak at a women's luncheon with the chamber in our area, and so
they let me in the doors.
And so the
2025, 2026, you just have to identify.
And so the member that held the chair for that committee had mentioned, you know, a lot of people don't realize that they're using AI. They're putting in search engines and social media and Google, and they're not recognizing that it's even AI. Like, they're using it and don't even know it. And so I would say that, especially in the beginning, had been one of the largest hurdles of people just being really resistant to AI. But now it's been great. A lot of times we're like, hey, let's kind of start out with that, because that has been kind of now more of about, you know, that was like 9 months to a year later. That's more of an attention grabber now. Right. And then, like Jacob had mentioned as well, being concerned of, hey, it is newer. Is it actually going to work for my business? And so with our sister company, that was really set in place for essentially another way of checks and balances. Of, hey, we can, our job is not only to stay in front of technology as it advances, but to provide visibility and transparency in what you're getting as well. So I think that's really, we saw that was a need, and kind of, like you mentioned, a hurdle in the beginning. And so being able to implement that has definitely been helpful as well.
And then another barrier is a lot of business owners that are looking at AI are normally either turned off by AI because of either previous experience that they've seen with these providers that are going on one end of the spectrum that I mentioned earlier, or they have no idea what it's capable of or what it sounds like today. They don't know that it can sound very professional. They don't know that it can actually be trained up on their business and
your guys
be able to answer questions.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I saw your video with Olivia. I'm like, I gotta meet this girl. She's so nice and professional.
Yeah, and that's
amazing.
That Olivia, that voice was actually generated 1.5 years ago.
So it's gotten a lot better then.
Yeah. And so we have faster response times. It hears the person on the phone better. We have more tools than ever before to verify addresses, locations, IDs. We can we can add them to your calendar. We can add tasks. We can follow up. We can verify the user. We can block spam. And the weirdest thing I'm saving you $20,000+ a year. I'm helping you keep business market share because when they call you, you answer versus 85% of people who call you the first time and you don't answer will never call you back. So we're protecting all of these aspects of your business. And still the craziest thing that normally gets people to say, I want that, is when we say, oh, by the way, it also blocks spam. They're like, oh, yeah, you mean I don't have to answer 10 calls a day from an AI spam bot? It's like, yeah, that's also another reason why we currently only support inbound. We can technically do outbound. It's the same technology, but we only support inbound right now because we don't want to get you in trouble with the state or federal. And we also want to maintain your business integrity and positioning by not being seen as spam.
Yeah.
And I think as well, Jacob had mentioned, and I had mentioned as well, staying on top of technology. I don't know if you've even noticed with the newer iPhones with Siri, her voice is even different, right? As it advances, they're updating it. She doesn't sound so robotic. And so a lot of times, even when I'm scheduling doctor's appointments, it's the press 1 for this. That can be really frustrating. A lot of times you don't actually get the help that you need.
Mhm.
And so I think that was probably another barrier as well, is people just, in order to remain competitive, not only as a business, but in your role as well, you have to continue to refine those skills.
Mhm.
Because whether you're nonprofit or business, that's just the day and age that we're in with technology, right? And so just trying to keep, and obviously we're on top of the ball, but businesses or organizations trying to stay on top of kind of that movement or involvement with AI and coming up to date of like, hey, we're really transitioning off of this press 1 to a more conversational AI at this point.
Yeah. It really, like I said in the beginning, it lifts the lid. It allows you as an owner, and again, everybody has their different perspective. I'm thinking from a business owner's perspective, like as a small business owner, why wouldn't somebody, want that? Because it allows you to, instead of work in the business, it allows you to work on it, right?
Mhm.
From a CEO level and big vision, and not get lost in the mundane tasks that you're going to be outsourcing to somebody anyways, but you get to save money. I really believe, if, like you said, Sarah, you got to adapt, right? As business continues to move forward, you got to adapt. There's going to be people in the next handful of years, their business is going to look like a horse and buggy. And those that do adapt are going to be in a Ferrari. You know what I mean? And you can't be in a horse and buggy getting pissed off at the people that are driving circles around you. You have to be willing to make those changes for your business. But, it's unfortunate that people just like comfortability in what they know. Right. So,
Yeah. I actually had spoken with an electrician, and he just wanted someone to answer the phone when he couldn't.
oh, dude, I bet you guys killing that industry.
Well, so we did a pretty good job. We built out a whole system for him that basically qualified the user, blocked spam, and then any task automatically put it on a task list for him to follow up on. The only issue we had off the bat was he wasn't getting back to that task list. And so because we partnered with him, we provide a solution, but we have to partner with him. We let him know, like, hey, if we do all the answering in the world and you don't get back to it, it's still going to hurt your business.
Right.
And so we just recommended two calendar events every day to just look at the list and call people back. And immediately he started growing his business like massively. I think he got a 7x revenue the first month because he had enough people coming in. He was able to pick only the most profitable jobs. And that happened again and again. And by the end of about 4 months, he was revenuing over 80K a month.
Wow.
And he went from almost having to shut down his business to now being, wow, I actually have a business and I can hire people and I can step away and grow and train. It's a very different shift, but the problem is a lot of people that are in entrepreneurial spaces, especially in the trade spaces, the reason why they're there is because they think If I don't do it, it doesn't get done.
Right.
And to find somebody in that position that's willing to grow and entrust any part of their trade or business with somebody else normally takes a lot of trust and trust growth. And so being able to prove our product over time and staying in contact over the first few months to make sure they're using it well and that if there's any changes we need to make, we can. I think that's something that they're not expecting. And I think that's one of the other barriers. They expect to be handed a piece of junk that doesn't work and no one's going to take credit for it. And they're stuck with it.
What a shame.
Yeah.
What a shame. I don't have any more questions for you guys unless Joel does. But I was going to say, while he's coming up with a question or not a question, if you could let everybody know how they can connect with you guys, how they can, get in touch with you guys at Rareform and anything else that you guys got going on that you'd like the public to know about.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
go ahead. She's
so-
marketing. I'll let her do it.
Obviously through our website, if you select our contact page, that has a handle to all of our social media, as well as if you want to book with us. We also have a link where you can save our contact directly to your phone if you'd like. We're on most platforms, but yeah, that's pretty much how
Also-
you can stay connected.
If you call our main line, you'll be speaking to Olivia, and we do plan on upgrading her here in the near future. But if you want to speak with me or Sarah, ask to speak with us, and she'll pass you through. If we're not available, she'll keep a note and update us on what the request is so we can get back to you.
Yeah, shout out to Olivia. And your guys' website is rareformagency.com, correct?
Yes.
For anybody that's watching. Go ahead, Joel.
No, I have no more question. We have to do a part 2 because I love the AI talk. I was going to ask you guys, so how do you feel about the Antichrist and AI?
Yes.
I was going to get into all that, but no, we'll do a part 2, man.
I think they're ready for that.
Yeah, those are things
I am, believe it or not.
No, I'm saying the other people, not y'all.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we'll definitely do a part 2. So I have no questions. I just appreciate both of y'all for coming on. Like he said, this is our third couple. I'm always encouraged, and so I want to bring my significant other with me one day, and so I'm highly encouraged by that. But I appreciate y'all's time. I appreciate what you do. It's definitely needed. Yeah, I do have some referrals for y'all as well, and we'll talk afterwards.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Thank you also, Joseph.
Hey, I'm just here. How we always end our episodes is we have our guests pray us out. Is that something that you guys would be open to and just saying a prayer?
I sure would.
Yeah. Do you want both of us? Or
Yeah.
However y'all feel.
You want to get started?
Tag team it.
You want me to start?
Go ahead, baby.
Okay. All right. Well, Lord, thank you for this day and this time of fellowship. Thank you, Lord, for a good note and start to this new year, Lord, this 2026. Thank you, Lord, for connecting us the way that you did, Lord. It was through another fellow sister. And I just pray that you would continue to bless our hand and everything that we're a part of, Lord. Business, extracurricular, family, goals, dreams, Lord. I just ask that you would continue to have your way, Lord, and us bringing your kingdom, Lord, to the marketplace and through business. We just ask all this in your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
And Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity to be on this podcast and to hopefully encourage our brothers and sisters out there that are listening in, and even edifying ourselves by talking through these things. Helps remind us why we do what we do, and that we're able to use this platform as a witness, as a ministry. Thank you so much for keeping a roof over our heads and contacts and the relationships that we built through this. And may we continue to honor you and all we say and do, Lord, in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the CROWNEDCAST family. You guys killed it today. Just appreciate you. Love you guys. And just truly want you guys to continue to succeed and lead that way. So for everybody else, thank you so much for joining us on the CROWNEDCAST podcast, and we'll see you next time.